Good morning, boys and girls. It's so lovely to see you all. Well, I am here to tell you this morning about one of my favourite Bible heroes, a little girl called Miriam who was a big sister. Now, are any of you a big sister? Maybe some of you are a big brother and you have got a little tiny baby in your family. Well, that was the story for Miriam, and she didn't live in one of the towns that we would think of. She lived a long time ago in the land of Egypt, and she lived near a big river. So I thought I would come here today and tell you my story beside one of the big rivers that I found. Let's take a little look at it so we can imagine what it was like for Miriam. Can you see the water that stretches right across to the other side? And can you see the special plants that grow at the edge? They're called reeds, and they grow very tall at the edge of the water. And that's really important for us to see that, because that's where a lot of our story takes place today. Now, when Miriam's family got their baby, there was so much joy. Everyone was happy and everyone was smiling, and I've actually got a picture here of the little baby being held by its mummy, and they were so overjoyed. And at first the little baby slept and was very quiet and didn't make a noise, and then the little baby grew and began to giggle and laugh and play and wiggle its toes and legs, and suddenly this baby was making a lot of noise. Now that wouldn't bother us, but for the people of Israel there was a really cruel king in charge, and he was an Egyptian, and he didn't like the Israelite people. And he had made a special order that any baby boy born was to be killed. And here's a little picture of the big king giving the order that the baby boys were to be killed because there were too many of them in the land of Egypt. My goodness, what were the family going to do? They wanted to protect their baby so much, and their mummy, who listened to God, was given the best plan. Her mummy had been told that it was a good idea to make a special basket for the baby, and Miriam got the job of going out and gathering some of the reeds that grew by the river's edge and weaved them together to make a beautiful basket. Now, we may not ever know exactly what the basket was like and how mummy made it, but I've got this one, and can you see where it all loops in round? I think it would have been looped in round and a lovely soft little lining put on, and it was into this basket that mummy placed her little baby and just set him onto the river to float safely in the reeds. Now, Miriam was given the special job of looking after her little brother, staying close by and taking care of him. And in those days, that was such a brave thing to do, because there may even have been crocodiles around. But Miriam stayed very close by, and she watched and waited. And Mummy went home and prayed, and they waited to see what God would do with this very special plan. Now, the river was very important to the Egyptian people because lots of people used the river for lots of things, and sometimes they even believed that the river would bring some special gifts along. And so one day the princess went down to give herself a little wash with her ladies in the morning, and Miriam was waiting close by as a very good sister would. And as she went into the water, the little baby began to cry in the basket. But this time, as she went over and looked in, her heart felt so sorry for the little baby crying. And she loved him, and she lifted him out. I wonder, did she think he was a special gift perhaps? And at that stage, she looked around, and Miriam was so brave. She came over and she had to speak out really important words. She had to say, "Can I help you? Would you like someone to look after the baby for you?" The Pharaoh's daughter, the princess, was delighted, and she listened carefully to all the details that Miriam gave. And Miriam told her that this lady, who was really the baby's mummy, would take care of him and feed him and care for him, and she would pay her to do that. And the little baby in their family would get coming home, but he would be allowed to grow up in their family. And one day, God would use him to do a very special job. Now, we just love that Miriam was so brave and she did so much, and oh my, the rain has came on top of me now, but we want to say that Miriam was the most amazing big sister, and she spoke up when she had to, because she had a special job from God. And do you know that if you're a big sister or big brother, God has you placed to do that? And someday you may need to be brave, and someday you may have to go and help your mommy do things, but you know what? God delights in that. And one day, later on, Miriam went with her little brother Moses and did a really big special job and led the people of Israel out from that horrible king in Egypt. And Miriam got to lead the ladies in the most beautiful song of celebration before God, and God delighted in her. I hope you've enjoyed the story, and well done if you're a big brother or sister. The Lord loves you and is so pleased with the job you're doing.